great people of tomorrow. Every perfume starts with one ingredient. But it's the last one that makes it come to life. You have witnessed the birth of a new elixir and have been part of a great adventure. You came here to find eternal bliss. But Mother Nature has given us much more.
Essentially pay the people full time that I need to be in a laboratory working on this, then we'll be at a different phase of how far away are we until we have a prototype that, you know, grows a leg back on a frog or tail back on a rat, or, you know, we start small and work our way up from there.
I wasn't ready. I have no arms and no legs, but I'm very thankful that I have my little chicken drumstick here. People freak out when they see me for the first time. It's so cool. I was at a water slide all by myself. Everyone obviously at the bottom of the slide is looking up and waiting for other people to come down, and here I come and they're freaking out. They're like, you know, like this. And I was so tempted to look at myself and go, what happened? You know? And there were times where I sort of looked at my life and thinking, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. And you keep on concentrating on the things that you wish you had or the things that you wish you didn't have. And you sort of forget what you do have. And there's no point, I believe, in my life where I wish I had arms, legs, I wish I had arms, legs, I wish I had arms, legs, because wishing won't help. But what I've seen in life are just a couple key principles, and the first thing that I've seen is to be thankful. It's hard to be thankful, man. I tell you, when I was 8 years old, I sort of summed up my life and thought, I'm never going to get married. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to have a life of purpose. What kind of a husband am I going to be if I can't even hold my wife's hand? It's a lie to think that you're not good enough. It's a lie to think that you're not worth anything.
This is an axolotl, a large Mexican salamander. They're amphibious, they're about a foot in length, and while they're virtually extinct in the wild, they are bountiful in science labs, mainly due to their unique ability to regenerate.
The beauty of this animal is that it doesn't matter how many times you cut its leg off, it will regenerate perfectly. If it loses its arm, it will regenerate it and you won't even be able to tell later on. It can also regenerate its tail, legs, and gills. My research has always been on regeneration. I've never wanted to work on anything else. The skin is critical in regeneration of these things. All the information that you need is in the skin. The important layer in both development and regeneration is the fibroblast layer. They are the ones that have the information for how to build the structure.
I'm here at Wake Forest University, one of the meccas of tissue regeneration. These are technologies that fascinate me because they could add decades to our life. Let me take a look inside. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
Dr. Atala. What does regenerative medicine mean?
Creating cells, tissues, and organs for patients who may need them. You know, well, right now, of course, we have a limited lifespan because your parts are breaking down. But imagine a time in the future when, once those parts start breaking down, you can just plug a new one right in.
Dr. Atala and his team have grown nearly 24 different types of body parts, including muscle, bone, even this working heart valve.
You can actually see it pump away, and of course you can see the leaflets from above, open and close.
I could use this. I mean, now I could use. That's amazing. It's a real valve.
Yeah, it's a real valve.
The process of regeneration is essentially enhanced wound healing. If you amputate a limb from an axolotl, the wound forms a dome of cells from the connective tissue, also known as a blastema. As the cells divide and migrate outward, they reform an identical, fully functioning replacement limb. But Susan Bryant and her team of researchers has taken this concept even further.
Cells will divide to eliminate any discontinuity between themselves and their neighbors. So if you have two cells that aren't normally next to each other, then they will insert what should be in between. The way we think about it is that the cells have positional information. What we've described it as is along this axis, the information, we describe this with alphabet, A through whatever. And around the circumference is 12 through 1. If you put a 12 and a 6 next to each other, what they do is they fill in and it creates another whole limb.
To illustrate this concept, Susan Bryant and her team conduct skin graft experiments.
Where you make a wound here, you have to deviate a nerve to the site and then graft a piece of skin from another part of the circumference with an opposite positional value. If you do this, you've created a big discontinuity right there, and so you will get another hand in there to eliminate it. Very strange.
When you first got your MD degree, did you ever think you'd be doing this?
No. This is the stuff that we thought was science fiction, right?
I thought it was when I walked in here. Here's how he does it. First, a mold is built. Then, it's seeded with live cells. Then, it goes into an incubator, where the cells multiply and grow.
This is actually the room where we cook the organs, if you will. So once they're made, we actually put them into these devices that actually keep these organs alive until we implant them.
In labs across the country, scientists are breaking new ground every day. This doctor is performing a bladder transplant with an organ built from the patient's own cells. It was grown in a lab in about 8 weeks. Tell me what regenerative medicine could do to our longevity. How long could we live?
I think it's possible to keep extending life, and by putting in those organs that you need, putting in the parts that you need, you'll be able to extend life by several decades.
In our lifetime, over the next 20, 30 years, how much are we going to be able to expand human longevity?
Well, I think if we start combining things like better prevention, better care, doing things better for your body, and this with regenerative medicine, we may even push that up to 120, 130 years sometime.
His facility in Pittsburgh is like a modern Frankenstein's lab. Makes sense, since he shares the same ambition as the original mad scientist, to rebuild new life. This time, by getting the human body to regenerate its many parts as perfectly as a salamander does.
We can grow the whole human in 9 months. All we really need to do is figure out how to grow a part of that human.
Salamanders react differently to trauma than we do. Our bodies respond by scabbing and scarring.
If we didn't scar, we'd probably die. bleed to death first or not be able to respond to the infections that invariably occur.
The salamander doesn't scar. It's evolved to grow new tissue instead.
My name is Kirstie Ennis. I'm 25 years old and I was a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. In June 2012, on my second deployment to Afghanistan, my helicopter went down. My whole world literally was flipped upside down in the blink of an eye. I just remember people calling my name, and I tried to stand up, and my leg buckled underneath me. And I remember one of the Army medics, he came over and he said, "Don't close your eyes because you're not going to open them again." As a result of the crash, I've had 38 surgeries, soon to be 39 surgeries, 2 years of speech and cognitive therapy, mental health, and it's still not over. Chronic pain is a part of my everyday life.
Medical regeneration bed technology, which I've talked quite a bit about, it's mostly a frequency sort of tool. However, in order for the tool to be used at its fastest acceleration, they do pump in some raw fluids and some raw aminos into the physical areas so your body can reconstruct faster. If they didn't do that, it would just take your body a lot longer to continue to rebuild and regrow those cells one at a time. So to accelerate that process, they do pump some extra fluids into it, but it is pretty much a holographic dominant harmonic frequency sort of process where you project a perfect image. Say, my arm is damaged, it's been burnt, 3rd degree, and we project a perfect image of, my arm holographically down to the cellular level. Eventually this arm will just heal itself. It will just want to go, oh, those are the cells that we actually want to look like, and it'll fix itself. Right. And if my arm gets blown off right here, and I don't have a hand, normally when your cells reach the air, they go, oh, we can't grow anymore. Well, if you project a perfect image down to the cellular level of that hand, of your arm, the cells hit the holographic projection and go, oh, we can keep growing. And it essentially fools the cells into just keep going and going all the way down to your fingertips until you've completely regrown the damaged limb.
Dr. Badylak wants to reprogram the way our bodies react to trauma, and he's on to something big. Pig-size big. Medical researchers love pigs. They can't regrow limbs, but they're invaluable in other ways.
There are certain things from a pig that you can put into a hurt human and not worry about it. We've been transplanting pig heart valves into people for a long time.
In Dr. Badylak's body shop, they're using a pig's bladder, an organ that can regenerate. It may not look pretty, but it contains something that can regrow parts of your body. They scrape away extra layers of tissue until they're left with this.
This is the matrix. The cells build this and they live within it. This is the extracellular matrix.
The extracellular matrix is like a scaffold that cells set up house in. All animals have it, including humans.
Tomorrow at 7:15 in the morning, I'm going down to the hospital in San Diego, and I'm going to have my left leg amputated below the knee in an effort to improve my quality of life. Today I'm going to spend my day just walking. I want to feel the things that I'm not going to feel again. Walking on the beach today, just in the sand, putting my feet in the water, walking through the grass, even putting my feet in ice. It might sound pretty minor to most people, but it's not going to be there. I'm not going to be able to do any of these things again, like experience it with a piece of my body. It's been a long road, and I'm ready to overcome it.
So the two pieces of technology, we have those now as a civilian population. We have the holographic projector, and just last summer, a science team at a couple different universities managed to put together, not necessarily for the purposes that we want, but it doesn't matter, they developed the technology anyway, developed the computer software that you put in the genetic code, and you get a very basic building model of what that person looks like or would look like if the technology itself. That's what we needed. We needed that technology.
The extracellular matrix is the glue that holds cells together in every tissue and organ of your body, and it gives instructions to the cells, and the cells in turn give instruction to the matrix.
The pig's bladder is cheap and easily available, a waste product from the slaughterhouse, cleaned in special solutions and then dried. The matrix is shaped into strips or ground into powder. Put it where you're injured, and it somehow, almost magically, redirects what happens next.
So instead of the body thinking, all right, injury, let's form a scar, the body says, all right, injury, let's rebuild. And the matrix helps to jumpstart it in the let's rebuild pathway.
Now, two things that we need to do with both of these technologies to then have this holographic refrigerating technology that we want is actually very simple. It is to increase the resolution of both of these technologies to the cellular level. So when we have the ability to take this software and tell that genetic code to print us out a virtual image of, just like, we don't have to get the whole body, let's just say we want a finger, but down to the cellular level of that finger. And then if we can get the holographic projector to be able to, again, it doesn't have to be able to project the entire distance of the whole body, but to be able to project a 3x3 area of a resolution that's down to that cellular level. Okay, now we've got the components that we can regrow somebody's finger. And that is the door into this technology, is that cellular resolution levels. Now you can regrow a finger. Now you can slowly regrow, the parts of someone's arm, because you can project the part of the arm that needs to be in front of the cell growth and allow the cell growth to slowly, match up to the holographic projection and be able to regrow limbs.
And that's what seems to have happened to Lee Spivak, one of the first to use this invention back in 2005. A gift from his big brother Alan, who has since passed away.
They sent me the material, just a little tube with powder inside of it.
Lee wasn't sure what the mysterious powder was, but he trusted his brother.
I always believed Alan. And what did I have to lose, really?
And in 4 weeks, he gained what he thought was lost forever. Sprinkled with the pig's matrix, his entire fingertip miraculously regrew.
The nail had no defects.
They used to give us a wild cocktail of drugs, mostly it's considered physical performance drugs. So your liver would go out about every 5 to 6 weeks. And so you would get regular, testing to see how your liver was doing. And then when it would be about time that your liver is about to go out, they would say, no, your numbers are down. You got to come in and get your liver reconditioned. So in some cases, you could go out in an afternoon or a day of combat, and depending on how much you were, we had these injectors inside the suits that would go right into your leg. So depending on how much you're getting, you could knock out your kidneys or your liver in an afternoon or in a day. The drugs were that intense and were that physically damaging. But they have, again, this is the technology to fix this like that. So who cares? Sure, we're going to ruin your liver. Get you a new one.
Today's November 23rd, and I'm at Naval Medical Center, San Diego, where they took care of me from the get-go. And I had my leg amputated below the knee. And there it is. I've resisted it for a long time. It's not like I just said, okay, take it in the very beginning. I tried the fusion, I did all the bone grafting, I tried the IDEO. My mind and my heart is at ease because I can honestly say that I tried. Today is December 4th. I woke up and the pain is slowly but surely subsiding. I do have to take a lot of nerve pain medicine still. As you can imagine, after nerves are severed, they're still firing, trying to figure out what's going on, so that's what's causing me the most pain. Really looking forward to getting out of this silly hard cast. It's really complicating everything in my life, but aside from that, taking it in stride still. I'm really looking forward to getting up and walking.
You understand the special properties about that lens that need to be special, and you can get the resolution that you need, and you have the computer program that gets you the resolution you need, then you're basically able to project a very, very small, high resolution image and recode a very, very high density area in a very small space, and so you're able to make very, very small, high resolution adjustments about that size. So then you can start to rebuild, a finger, start to build, an arm slowly, and a little spiral as comes around. So it's a very slow process at this point because you're working on very, very tiny parts of the body. But that's, oh, we did it! Hey! From that point, the technology to get more precise, better, bigger spread, more power, a higher powered computer to give you, more coding per image that you can make per second, per centimeter, and all these issues that you have to think about in the engineering. And then essentially you've got the ability to restore any damaged organ, fix the cellular structure, chemical structure of any body. So all forms of heavy metal poisoning, every kind of bacteria toxicity, blah, 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 could all be straightened out. Damaged organs of any kind can be completely restored. And the big one is, of course, the Rosetta Stone of medicine, regrowing limbs. Modern medicine is yet to be able to, say, well, we can put a limb back on that's been blown off. I mean, we're great with prosthetics, and we're just going to get better and better with prosthetics if that's what we focus on. But I think we can just grow stuff back, and it's actually cheaper, faster, easier, to be honest. There's less time, energy, resources, and dollars that would go into regrowing someone's arm than building a robot arm for that person and putting a robot arm on.
Seeing my leg for the first time was an interesting feeling, to say the least. You're excited on one hand to be able to see it all come together and, realize what everybody's working towards for so long. But at the same time, you look down and it's like butterflies in your stomach. That, the thing that I've had for the last 24 years is no longer there. But to see it healing and to know that it's progressing is a remarkable feeling.
It's freezing, I can't feel my hands. I love life. So many people come and say, how come you smile so much? And I'm like, well, it's a long story. But it's very simple at the same time. You see, it's very hard to smile sometimes in life. There are things that happen that you don't know and you don't understand, and you don't know if you're going to get through it. You go through your storms in life and you don't know how long this storm's going to be. And today I want to share with you some principles that I've learned in my life that you can use in yours. Being patient is beautiful. I tell you, it's the hardest thing. But I realize I may not have hands to hold my wife's hand, but when the time comes, I'll be able to hold her heart. I don't need hands to hold her heart. It is scary to know how many girls have eating disorders. It is scary to know how many people are just angry at life because of their situation at home and angry at others. It's scary to know how many people actually feel like they're worth nothing. Every single girl right here, right now, I want you to know that you are beautiful. You are gorgeous just the way you are. And you boys, you're the man. On this DVD, I share my experiences in life of how I've overcome challenges and seen a new, fresh perspective in life. To be thankful, to dream big, and to never give up. I speak to children, youth, and adults about key issues and principles that I've applied in my life that has given me the strength to conquer all that comes before me.
But what if?
That happened in Pleasanton, so about 30 minutes out of San Antonio.
You lost your arm in a rollover crash.
Shredded the muscle, bone, nerves, everything.
Lost your right hand to a terrorist shotgun blast.
It really was the only way to give me a good chance of long-term survival.
Chose amputation to save you from bone cancer.
I was blown up Christmas Day of 2011, stepped on a toe popper.
Or a leg to a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. Well, you compete right alongside everybody else. This competition put able-bodied and adaptive athletes side by side, where a Marine amputee can show his brute strength again, A car crash survivor can reclaim her stubborn determination, or a cancer survivor can impress on just one leg, and a Superman with just one arm can bring that shirt to life.
It makes me feel like I can still be just as good, just as fit.
I think we're all tough. You just need to find it within yourself. It took something like this for me to find that strength within myself.
I guess if you want to stay stuck where you're at, you stay there. If you want to move on forward, you push yourself to do it.
This is a home video of a young woman who's essentially disabled by the abnormal movements of Parkinson's disease. She can't even walk without assistance. What could focused ultrasound do for this woman?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That video was me just 10 weeks ago. Look at me now.
And then there's Justin Daniel Scott.
I broke my neck at C6, C7.
He's a quadriplegic, but he's here too.
When people watch me at competitions or play sports, I just want them to see me as an athlete.
People giving no excuses, and at the end of the day, we want to be on the same playing field, and we want to raise the awareness for adaptive athletes.
In my day-to-day life, I think a lot of people feel sorry for me and want to coddle me and want, to hold the door open for me, and that's great, and I appreciate it. But like even at work, I work on the 3rd floor, and I like to take the stairs.
They describe it this way: when you spent so much of your life recovering from a terrible accident, an attack, or a devastating disease, this makes you feel alive.
If you know who I am, there's no need to feel sorry. If I felt sorry for myself, I wouldn't be here.
And in watching all this, they hope you see something, or maybe see nothing unusual at all.
Look at me like a normal person, because I am. I'm just like you, you're just like me, and that's just who we are. I just happen to not have an arm.
And no excuses either to get right back into the game.
My life before my focused ultrasound procedure was completely different. I went on vacation with my husband. We went out sightseeing. We were trying to walk back to the hotel. I couldn't walk any longer because my foot was cramping. It was cramping so bad I couldn't put any pressure on it at all. We looked at each other and we were like, we can either laugh or we can cry. We decided to laugh. He actually had to give me a piggyback ride back to the hotel. I had fun, but I'm not so sure he did. I babysit my grandson, and I was having trouble picking him up and holding him and dressing him. Whoever designed those onesies with those teeny tiny little snaps on them, they never thought about anybody with Parkinson's, that's for sure. Bike riding has always been my passion. No matter how bad of a day I was having, I could get on my bike, go for a ride. It would bring a big smile to my face and a sense of independence. But I couldn't ride my bike anymore because I'd lost my balance. I couldn't ride. The only bike I could ride was a stationary bike, which is not near as much fun. Recently at a wedding, my dad came up and asked me to dance with him. And I couldn't. I couldn't get up out of the chair. My back and foot were cramping so bad that I couldn't stand up. I couldn't have that dance with my dad. It's every little girl's dream to have that dance with their dad, and I couldn't do it. These are all the catalysts that helped me make my decision to have my focused ultrasound treatment.
Histotripsy. And the most important component of that is the ultrasonic transducer. And the fundamental part of the ultrasonic transducer is the piezoelectric element. This, when electricity is applied to it, vibrates. And those vibrations then create an ultrasonic wave that can propagate through tissue. Now, by arranging an array of these elements in a concave formation, the transducer then becomes capable of transmitting ultrasonic waves that then increase sharply in strength at the focus. By pulsing those waves, we create the histotripsy effect to destroy tissue at the cellular level. Now, based on this principle, the Vortex Rx is being developed to provide physicians the ability to non-invasively treat tissue. The transducer is placed over the target, in this case, a tumor in the liver. Sound energy passes through the body to those tissues, creating an energy field that creates bubbles then. And the expansion and collapse of those bubbles is what mechanically then fractionates those tissues. Now, other therapeutic ultrasound generates vibration that then creates heat to destroy those tissues, which could then potentially damage other tissues nearby not targeted because of thermal spread. With histotripsy, that pulsing is provided in very, very short pulses that allows then a mechanical force, and so that the range of destruction of that tissue can be precisely controlled and monitored in real time. The tissue then gets naturally absorbed in the body after the treatment, and then natural healthy cells can regrow. This is an MRI image after a histotripsy treatment in a preclinical model. That dark circle there is the treatment zone. Notice the precise surgical-like boundaries that we treated where we wanted to and nowhere else.
And now we go to the biology laboratory and we take Dr. Baer's device, and the hunt begins through a microscope for a frequency which will shatter a living microorganism. Now we have a method of controlling Dr. Baer's device by an input control frequency. So if I put in, say, 100 hertz, out will come 100 pulses per second. If I put in 200 hertz, we'll get 200 pulses. So now we're searching for the magic frequency. And we start with 100 hertz, and we look through the microscope to see if anything's happening. We watch for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. So we try 101 hertz. We look through the scope for 5 minutes, and nothing happens. So we try 102, 103, and so on. Over the course of 15 months, we try hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, if not thousands, until we find the magic combination.
The morning of the procedure, I had to be off meds, which meant I couldn't walk. I had to be taken to the hospital in a wheelchair. The procedure lasted approximately 4 hours. I had to have my head shaved, which is why I'm sporting this new hairdo. I will say short hair is very easy to take care of, and I get ready in about half the time now. So that's a good thing. I had to have a frame attached to my head. When they attach the frame, it feels like a vice just clamping down on your head. They tighten it and tighten it. You feel a lot of pressure on your head. The frame attaches you to the MRI table so that you can't move. I had 14 treatments or sonications, or what I like to call zaps. With each zap, you feel intense heat, but no real pain. It felt like heat was escaping out of my head for about 2 days. After each treatment, you're pulled from the tube for neurological testing. I'll never forget my last treatment. Dr. Fishman came up to me and said, "If you stay where you are now, would you consider the procedure a success?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." He said, "That's it, we're done, we're done." Words I couldn't wait to hear. I couldn't wait to get up off that table. The nurses were bringing a bed for me to take me to my room, and the clinical trial director looked at me and said, "No, get up, you can walk." And I thought to myself, she's right, I can walk. I know I could walk. With each treatment, I could feel how I was getting stronger and stronger, and how my pain and symptoms were getting less and less. I knew I could get up off that table and walk to my room. So I did. I got up off the table and I walked to my room. It was purely a miracle. I arrived at the hospital in a wheelchair, unable to walk, and immediately following the procedure, I can walk to my room. It's amazing.
The answer is you have to have 2 input frequencies, one low, one high, and the higher frequency must be 11 times the lower. It's what we musicians would call the 11th harmonic. And when we add the 11th harmonic, we begin to shatter microorganisms like a crystal glass. These are the first videos taken. We showed these videos to our friends in the biology department. They said they hadn't seen anything quite like it. Seems to be a new phenomenon. These organisms are being shattered by our electronic signals. This is a harmless organism, almost friendly, a little blepharisma. And normally they're very fast swimmers, but when you approach a frequency to which they are vulnerable, they begin to slow down, then they stop, and then they begin to disintegrate within about 3 minutes. So now we know we can destroy a microorganism, and the question comes up, but can you target a specific organism with a specific frequency? We now know that cancer is vulnerable between the frequencies of 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz. We now know that cancer is vulnerable between the frequencies of 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz.
How do you know you love her?
My heart. His heart tells him.
8-year-old David Spisak has passed away from leukemia just months after finding true love. His mom shared the sad news on Facebook, writing, "Our little man's last moments were laying with his mommy and daddy in the middle of the night with a house full of family, friends, and loved ones after days of being surrounded by love." David battled cancer for the last 7 years and was lucky to have found the love of his life, 7-year-old Ayala. Even though many thought they were too young to know what love is, this couple thought otherwise.
My heart knows, and I know. Mine does too.
Ayla and David met in 2nd grade, and even though he had to stop going to school, it didn't prevent their relationship from flourishing. They even went on a first date.
He forced himself out. Not only did he stand up, he walked, he stood up and bowled, and she was there right beside him the whole time.
DEPICTS, a nonprofit Virginia cancer support group, is helping David's family pay for his funeral by collecting donations.
I love you.
Visit InsideEdition.com for a link. Our condolences go out to the family.
So now we attack leukemia cells. Leukemia cell number 1 tries to grow a copy of itself, but the new cell is shattered into dozens of fragments and scattered across the slide. Leukemia cell number 2 then hyperinflates and also dies. Leukemia cell number 3 then tries to make another cancer cell. The new cell is shattered and the original cell dies. But killing a handful of leukemia cells is not enough for a patient. What kind of numbers can we do? In repeated controlled laboratory experiments, independently assayed by the 2 top experts, we killed an average of 25% to 42% of the leukemia cells, as high as 60%. They also determined that we slowed the growth rate of the cancer by as much as 65%, so a double effect.
A Bonita Springs family is grieving the loss of a 10-year-old child to cancer tonight.
And their heartbreaking story is especially sad. They've lost 2 other children to the same disease. NBC2's Gabrielle Shirley spoke with their mother, who's hoping to help other families fight childhood cancer.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it for my kids. I'm sick of it for every single person out there.
Erin Madding is suffering a fate no parent should.
You want to say have 5, but you know, people are going to look at you, but yet my child did exist.
She has buried 3 of her 5 children over the past 6 years, all of them diagnosed with Lynch syndrome 3, a form of brain cancer resulting from a rare gene mutation.
We had a 25% chance. We both carry a mutation. We had no idea. To give our kids both of our mutations, and 3 out of 5 got both mutations.
She lost Belle on Saturday.
I thought I forgot her when we drove down the road the other day.
A lively little girl who loved to dance and dreamed of becoming a nurse.
She matured into this beautiful young girl that had such faith. She enjoyed every second, like she knew that it was just, I'm gonna be gone, and it's okay.
Now her family is taking comfort in knowing she has her brother and her sister to look out for her.
She knew what her fate was.
Madding says she will continue to push for a cure.
So basically we're talking about the ability to cure and restore any cellular biological process to blueprint perfection in a matter of hours or days.
So
anything.
Nothing left.
In fact, things like cancer, leukemia, that's going to be easier stuff. Like the hardest things are going to be growing back limbs. That's going to take the most time to rebuild new tissue. Anytime you just have to like tell old tissue to like get better, like that happens pretty quickly. So anytime you're dealing with tissue that's already there, you're going to be able to clean that up in no time.
Now we attack ovarian cancer cells. This is a more distant shot. Here you see brackets coming up around the cells, showing groups of ovarian cancer cells which are being destroyed. You can see by the end of the video that a great many ovarian cancer cells were destroyed. Now we attack pancreatic cancer once more. In the center of the screen is a clump of pancreatic cancer cells like a microtumor under the microscope. We turn on our electronic signals and the tumor shrinks and is broken up. The cells are disconnecting, disaggregating, the opposite of forming a tumor. And some of the cells are destroyed.
In the 10 weeks since my procedure, I have run a 5K for Parkinson's. Yep. Very, very happy to say that. I've been on many, many bike rides. I've walked downtown with my husband. I've taken my grandson to the park and actually been able to play with him on the playground. And yes, I've had that dance with my dad. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kimberly. You should know that the extraordinary courage that Kimberly showed, she was the first patient in the U.S. to have this treatment, paved the way for others.
And today, I am honored to have Dr. Pamela Davis, Dean of Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine, and two of her team members, Henry and Jeff, join us to tell us more about teaching medicine with HoloLens. Welcome. Dr. Davis, thank you for joining us on stage.
Good morning. At Case Western Reserve, our motto is, think beyond the possible. And today, we and the Cleveland Clinic are constructing a state-of-the-future health education campus. Within this building, our students will learn using the most forward-looking educational programs. HoloLens is a key part of this. Now, last year, we showed a few things that we thought might be possible with HoloLens. Since October, we've had a small team of 3 computer programmers turning our ideas into reality. Today, we're going to show you some of our work on our holographic anatomy program, an example of the hours of curricular content that we have created. Now, anatomy is all about mastering the complex systems in the body, and you can see from the digestive system here that there are a lot of parts in a small space. And students need to understand not only how these parts fit together, but how they work together. Henry, can you tell us which organ in the body aids in digestion and also makes insulin?
Yes, that would be the pancreas. It could be a little hard to see it behind the stomach here.
Well, thankfully, with HoloLens, it's really easy to get the best view of things.
So just what is this groundbreaking research? It begins with a new method for using stem cells. Those are cells that can potentially grow into anything from an ear to a toe. They've long been promising, but the real-world application for using stem cells has been cumbersome up until now and difficult to master. And that is where Dr. Badylak and his team come in.
Ready?
5 patients, each with injuries to their legs. Some from bomb blasts while serving in the military. Some from injuries sustained while skiing. One person lost 58% of their leg muscle mass. Another, 90%.
Good.
The impact on daily life was extreme. This video of one of the patients shows the difficulty each had doing the most simple tasks, like standing on one leg or even walking. Another patient, before the revolutionary surgery, he was able to only jump a few inches off his injured leg. But after the surgery, a dramatic difference. Watch how far he jumps off that same injured leg. So, what changed? Dr. Stephen Badylak and his team first put each patient under the knife, removing scar tissue from the site of the injury. Then, in a groundbreaking technique, they took so-called extracellular matrix from pigs and placed it in the person's leg. This implant occurred in each of the 5 patients' legs at the site of the muscle loss. Just a day or 2 after surgery, the patients re-entered intensive physical therapy. And somehow, some way, the patients' bodies actually began regrowing muscle. It's a development some scientists wondered if it was even possible. That extracellular matrix from the pigs acted as a form of a homing device, telling each patient's own stem cells where to do their repair work. That same patient who before surgery couldn't stand on one leg for long was now able to do long exercises, standing on only that leg and quickly. This video was taken just 6 months after surgery. A breakthrough that has enabled people to perform what some would call miracles, regrowing their own skeletal muscle.
Now, another area that's difficult for our students to fully grasp is the nervous system. HoloLens can make this much easier by improving our interactive learning beyond the single classroom. Professor Mark Griswold can teach us about the anatomy of the brain, even though he's in Cleveland. Let's show you how this works. Are you there, Mark?
I am. Hi, Pam. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our new classroom. This is our new system that allows me to teach and interact with you even though I'm not there at build. I'll tell you, this feels really natural. The 3 of us can see each other as we're talking, which makes us feel connected. And even though you can only see my head and hands, you get a sense of my body language. This is really changing what it means to be in class.
Mark, let's show them the white matter tracts. These tracts act like superhighways, allowing messages to travel from one part of the brain to another. This example comes from an MRI scan of a real patient from the laboratory of Professor Cameron McIntyre at Case Western Reserve University.
It's critical that our students know how these structures relate to one another. I can tell you I've looked at data sets like this for over 10 years, and I never fully understood their 3D structure until I saw them in HoloLens. Let's say we have a patient with a brain tumor, which we're showing here with this red area. Hey, Jeff and Henry, can you see how this tumor intersects the light blue tract, but not the green tract or the yellow one? This allows us to predict the impact of this tumor on the patient's symptoms and their outcomes after surgery.
This could impact the occipital lobe back here, which may harm the patient's vision.
It might also influence the parietal lobe here, which would affect their sense of touch.
The quicker our students learn facts like these, the more time they have to think with them. We are teaching them to think like a doctor. Thanks, Mark, for joining us today.
Bye, everybody.
Being untethered and able to walk around 3D holographic content gives our students a real advantage. Students have commented that a 15-minute session with HoloLens could have saved them dozens of hours in the cadaveric lab. When we have only 4 short years to train them, this is extremely valuable. grateful to Microsoft for giving us the opportunity to develop this technology, and we can't wait to collaborate with others using HoloLens to think and to see beyond the possible.
Just amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Finally tonight, 3 veterans from 3 different wars, each an amputee with just one good leg between them. And despite losing their legs in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, they just finished scaling one of the world's highest mountains, Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. It's an inspiring story they recounted in their own words this morning on Today.
When I woke up in that hospital bed, wired shut, with both my legs amputated, I didn't know where things were going to go. I didn't know an amputee until I became an amputee. And so through programs often sponsored by Disabled Sports USA, I was able to get that freedom back, and a lot of people will attest to that. I knew it was attainable. I knew that with the right planning and the right preparation, we could make it to the top.
As an amputee, you have unique challenges. Not having ankles, for instance, or not having a knee, in Neil and Kirk's case, the amount of torque and strain that you put on what's left of your leg, your residual limb, is just brutal. And then you couple that in several hours a day, day after day, until you make it to the top. You're in pretty bad shape by the time you get there.
Well, the artificial leg froze up. The battery died. It has a computer in it, and I had to switch to a mechanical leg. But also, it did fall off a number of times. All that walking, the stump shrank. So we had actually quite a few challenges in that regards. But we did a lot of careful preparation, and it really helped us get through and get to the bottom and the top.
If I were to go back to 5+ years ago in that hospital bed, I never would have imagined myself walking again, let alone climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So to look back on that time and to realize how far that I've come, there's been so many opportunities for me to just prove to myself that I can continue to be the person that I was before my injury.
You can restore damaged organs instead of little children who need organ transplants. We can just restore their organs to full functionality, and they could live, a full, healthy life like that. So this technology is the most exciting to me because we're this close. We're this close to being able to actually make it a reality. Technology reality means being able to do away with archaic dark ages medical technology that we live in right now and actually enter the 21st, 22nd century by bringing real modern futuristic medical technology to our civilization, which would bring us up to par and up to match with the other intergalactic civilizations who don't cut people's arms off, tear people open to replace organs, and give people drugs to fix things. They have this technology because it's cheaper, faster, less invasive, less traumatic. It just works better, costs less money. So we're talking about the ability, once we have this technology developed, it's not even going to be the cost of one MRI, you can build 50 of these, medical regenerating beds. The cost difference is staggering. So what you would get cost benefit wise changes this ever burdening medical system that's becoming this increasing percentage of GDP every year, and we can go from an increasing, we're almost up to 20% GDP as our healthcare costs. We can crank that right back down into single digits with a technology that's faster, easier, and less expensive, and cures everything. Everything, blindness, deafness, limbs that are damaged, limbs that are gone, organs that are damaged, neurological diseases, genetic disorders. It would absolutely fix and cure every single thing, even the things that our modern medical science can't affect or touch or do anything about right now, and it would be cheaper and more cost effective and faster. So we're very excited about that.
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. We're here outside the Austin, Texas Capitol, the capital of Texas. And so what brings you out here today?
We're out here to bring awareness to veterans issues. We're marching with Veterans March on America and Victory for Veterans. And that's an organization that the creator sold his house, sold everything, and he's going on a bike ride to raise funds, to try to fund a lot of these organizations that help veterans in these different areas.
Minimum estimates, 54,000 homeless veterans in this country. Let's do something about that. And so marching in cities across the country, we hope to march in every capital in the country. We ended up with about 14 cities, which we still feel is a win.
I'm all about the vets helping vets. I run the American Legion of South Austin here. I'm one of the youngest members of my post, so now I'm out here to support veterans. And I was a 6-year active duty Navy corpsman, 3 combat tours. So it's like I'm out here whenever we get a chance, when veterans get a chance to rally, I believe that we should rally. Our voices are being silenced before, but I think now they're starting to be louder and come louder and louder. I think the public's starting to see that as well.
You know, when I signed my contract, I fought for this country, but I also believe in what this country is all about. You know, welcoming people in. But of course, then you can't neglect veterans. That's just the wrong thing to do.
It is absolutely insane that 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And I get it. After my injuries, I went to that dark place. Literally a year after, on June 23rd, 2013, I tried doing the same thing. And if it wasn't for my family and my loved ones, my friends, I wouldn't be here.
The high numbers of veteran suicides in America?
Really bad, but I'm assuming that's because we're not either giving them enough services for psychiatric. And I know that they talk about the drugs that they're giving them, but I know that, there's other things we can give them. But
I don't think that people understand the magnitude of the mental health crisis for veterans. I personally have 7 close friends who've killed themselves in the past 5 years. So much of it was due to a lack of proper mental health care, either while they were still in service or as they were separating.
I feel like this is a good cause, marching for veterans to prevent suicidal and homeless. That's what I'm all about.
I think that the quality of the care is not what it should be. There's long been a lot of pressure to overprescribe medications for veterans instead of getting them really proper and intensive mental health care across the transition spectrum. Instead, they over-medicate them, and in many cases, those improper medications lead to veteran suicides instead of mitigating them.
Do you think President Trump is trying to do this? He just signed an executive order to help fund, services for vets and for particularly psychological, to try to help people reacclimate, soldiers reacclimate into coming back from the war zone. Is that executive order going to help maybe? Because you also know that he promised to release in his inauguration speech. He promised to release these he didn't specifically say which technologies, but he did say, advanced technologies. So do you think that this is really opening the door? We're at the time now where, so you have a project, are they going to interfere, or do you think it's time? We're at this time to really get this out and going now.
We don't care whether it's one or the other. We honestly could care less whether they think it's time, they plan to interfere or not. We could care less because we're anticipating all possibilities and contingencies because we simply have a trajectory in which this will be done. I've made it perfectly clear more than once to people who have come to me that I have not sought after, I have not hunted them down. People have come to me and said, how can we make this happen faster? And I have sat down and said, okay, here are the basic numbers that it's going to take to get this off the ground, which is quite a bit of money, right? I don't go around throwing money because I'm not trying to directly fundraise from the general public that money, because it's millions and millions of dollars to get the project off the ground, right? It has to pay the salaries of my chief engineer, my chief software engineer, and 2 full teams of engineers and 2 laboratories in a location where I can also contract security services from Marines. And my rank and position allows me to do that. And so essentially, there's a list of things that I could go down, but I'm not going to go down at the moment, in which we have planned to protect and fund this no matter what. The difference here is how long it's going to take, right? If I honestly have to paddle my own canoe on this, as an independent field commander, which we have outlined a plan to do, it's going to take longer. If people really want to believe that this can be something and should be something that we should have access to sooner, well, then they have to, be serious about it.
So are you happy with how Trump has been speaking in regards to helping the veterans?
Yes. So hopefully you can get him through.
He's shown that he supports veterans and law enforcement alike. So I do have a lot to hope that's he's going to take care of that.
I think he's holding the VA accountable now. He's holding everybody on the higher echelon of like the veterans care and veterans groups on the Capitol Hill. He's holding them accountable for what they've actually been doing. So all these issues coming up with the wait times for the VA, he's actually been leading the charge on that, I believe. So it's like, I think he is going to be turning around the VA healthcare system.
We're here to hold the VA accountable, and not here to start a war with the VA, but, we want to see them do, honor the commitments that they have. They have missions, visions, and values posted on their websites too, and some of those could be honored a little better.
I would love to see money go to the wounded warriors. I think it would be so
agree. I think we need to take better care of our vets, and we need to find ways to put money more in the VA hospitals and find a way to take care of our own here, within the United States.
Should give $5 million to wounded warriors before I go make CNN $50 million. That's what you make these shows.
Isn't that terrible? They took that statement. I said, give $5 million. I'm going to want $5 million that we're going to give to the wounded warriors or the vets, right? Which is the same thing as far as I'm concerned. We split it up because they're making a fortune on these debates, which never had anybody. Fox had 24 million people. They used to get like 1 million. And CNN had the biggest ratings in the history of CNN. And I won't take full credit, but I'll take 99.9% credit. So I said, give me $5 million. I want to give it to the wounded warriors. I want to give it to the vets. But a lot of people said Trump wants $5 million. And I said it right in the same sentence, Alex. I didn't say it like...
That's how they deceive.
I said, I want $5 million that will go to the wounded warriors. And they would play it. They even took the tape. The tape is worse than the pen. They can cut it. So they say, give me $5 million, and then they cut it. Nobody knows, what am I doing? I'm asking for money to be on a debate. It's ridiculous. No, I wanted $5 million to go to the wounded warriors in particular.
Do you think that we should support our veterans?
Yeah, we should. They fought for us, so we got to fight for them.
You don't realize it until like the next day. Until like the next day, you're like, oh, my shoulders.
My favorite thing in country to do, man, whenever we have our pack on.
I saw one channel made like $40 million off you being on there. They should give all of it to the vets.
Well, they should give a lot more than 5, I'll tell you right now. But
it's our first shot, and there's going to be more of these.
This is awesome, this group of people. So I think we can do better for our veterans. Let's all get out here on Monday, May 29th for Memorial Day. Let's show these veterans just how much we appreciate their service, and let's go out there to memorialize and remember the veterans that have died and fought for our rights.
I want to be perfectly clear that as much as I would love to give you all access to this technology right away, the people who get in line first, okay, are all the veterans who've had their arms and legs blown. I got mine back. It's not fair that we have the technology that could give theirs back and we say, no, we don't have that, and not give them their arms and legs back when we can. I think that's bullshit. And if I have anything to say about it, I'm going to make sure they get their arms and legs back. No, don't applaud yet. Applaud when I do it. Then you can give me a rousing round of applause when it happens. Until then, just be hopeful and like, go Randy, right? Like, go team, and we'll get it done. Yes.
I am happy. I am extremely proud of everything that I did in the military. And I'd do it all over again if I could. That's what I signed up for. I would lay my life down for the man or woman that stood next to me. And at the end of the day, I'm thankful that it happened to me. It happened to me because someone somewhere knew that I could handle it. Life changes, goals change, dreams change, feelings change, careers change. Families change, priorities change, our bodies change, our opinions and heart change. Let them happen. Don't fight a changing life by fearfully holding on to what's comfortable. Embrace what this ever-changing life holds and enjoy it.
Ojaba.
Coachella. Bata toto mone mone, bata toto mone mone.